Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm in Colchester again. I've done a few videos from Colchester, but this one's slightly different because I'm going to walk around the outside of the town's ancient wall. I'm currently walking down North Hill, and beneath my feet is the old Roman road. This was called the Cardo Maximus, and this was the north-south road which was put into any Roman town layout. The east-west road was the Decumanus Maximus, and that's now Colchester's High Street, going down East Hill. And at the bottom of the hill here is one of the old entrance gates into the old town of Colchester. This was the North Gate, and in John Speed's map of 1610, it actually shows 6 posterns in the town. And throughout this video, we're going to take a look at all of them and look at their size and their structure, as well as the history around the outside of the walls of Colchester. But now I'm actually arrived at where the North Gate used to be. And there's a plaque on the wall which states it was removed back in 1823. So effectively what I'm going to do is walk around the 1.7 miles of Colchester's old walls and end just behind me on the other side of the road. I could just cross the road, I suppose, and make a very short video, but that would defeat the object of the exercise. So I'm going to start here with the North Gate. The archaeologists don't recall I haven't been able to find out. Gosh, these road sweepers are noisy, aren't they? Hoping to be quiet on a Sunday morning, but obviously not. But the archaeologists don't actually record what haven't been able to find out what the North Gate actually looked like. So I can't actually tell you that. But only that it was pulled down in 1823 because of the plaque. And just on the side here is a section of the old Roman wall. There we go. That's the old Roman wall behind me. And you can see on the face of the walls some put-log holes. These were put in during the wall's construction. You also see them on outside of castles and other monuments. And Colchester Castle has some fine examples. There's a good example here as well on the old Roman wall. I call it a Roman wall because it was built originally in Roman times. It was built in around AD 61 following Boudicca's revolt. She was the queen of the Iceni tribe, and together with the much larger tribe of the Trinovantes, sacked Colchester in AD 61 and burnt it to the ground, killing everybody, even those that had taken refuge in the temple of Claudius, the undercroft of which still remains underneath Colchester's castle. Following the attack, Boudicca's army moved on to Londinium and then on to Verulamium before being defeated by the Roman legions somewhere to the west of Lactodorum, which is modern-day Towcester on the A5. But there we go. So I'm going to walk around in an anti-clockwise direction. So with keeping the Roman wall on my left, I'm going to head up towards the East Gate and then to the Headgate on the south, and the West Gate, and then onto the South Gate, or the Headgate as it's called, onto the East Gate, and round past the castle into Castle Park and back to where I started from there at the North Gate. But considering all the history of Colchester, the old Roman walls really are in very good condition. The town's walls have been repaired so many times over the years. They were reinforced back in the year 917 after an attack by the forces of Edward the Elder, who drove out the Danish occupiers with great bloodshed. And they were repaired and changed in about 1381, thereabouts, late 14th century. and pedestrian entrance gates were put in as well. Of course, they've been repaired and maintained throughout history. That is until 1649, when they were torn down on the orders of General Fairfax. But only part of the walls were actually torn down, which was fortunate for us here today, because we get to enjoy them. Look at the architecture and the way they were constructed. I covered the destruction of the walls in my second video from Colchester. There's, I think, 6 or 7 so far that I've actually made from Colchester, which are all on the channel for you to enjoy. And I'm walking up what's known now as Balkerne Hill. This used to be a nice little country lane at one point, and they built houses here and a nice little residential community. But now, as you can probably hear, the traffic, there's a very busy dual carriageway on my right hand side. I guess it's good for the town that the traffic can go past without having to go through and clog up the town and the high street with extra traffic. But like so many towns, bypasses and dual carriageway always mean added noise for anybody who's walking past, and it's difficult to talk to the camera with this added noise. But there we go. One of the pitfalls, I suppose, of filming in town centre locations. Throughout the wall you can see lots of Roman tiles, but there's a section here which doesn't have any Roman tiles on, so it's probably a section that was repaired long after the Romans had left, perhaps in 917. But the actual construction of the walls itself is quite interesting. You've got septaria interspersed with Roman tiles or bonding tiles. This gives quite a pleasing polychromatic effect. It also adds strength to the wall as well. At the top here is the Hole in the Wall pub. It used to be called the King's Head. Yeah, the King's Head. But it was changed its name in 1963 to the Hole in the Wall, because they made a hole in the wall to accommodate the extension to the pub as well. So, and you can actually see underneath underneath what's like a terrace, the remains of the old Roman wall, or well, the remains of the old Balkerne Gate, which used to be here. And Balkerne Gate is really quite special indeed. The largest Roman gate, intact Roman gateway in Europe. And it's absolutely wonderful just to walk through it. I never get tired of walking through this archway. 2,000 years of history, and for 2,000 years people have been walking through this Balkerne Gate. It's absolutely wonderful. It was probably the first postern built at Colchester. It's on the western side, so this would have been the main road out of Cumuludunum down towards Londinium, and it's probably built as a celebrational arch, a triumphal arch to mark Emperor Claudius's victory in conquering Britain in AD 43. And given all that's happened in Colchester and its history, the history of Britain, I think Colchester's incredibly lucky to have what sections of Roman wall we actually do have. It's quite yeah, it's really pleasant just to walk here, even though we've got the noise of the traffic. It's quite pleasant just to walk here and actually look at them at the wall. You can see here behind me the sections with the interdispersed bonding tiles in with the septaria. It's absolutely wonderful, it really is to look at. But here we go, we've got the road on my right. You can see the traffic behind me. And also, just turn around, you can see St Mary's car park as well. All the road here was redeveloped back in 1981. The car park was built, 617 spaces, in case you wanted to know. Yeah, exactly, yeah, I know. Yeah, 617 spaces, opened in November 1981 by the then Mayor of Colchester, a chap called Roger Browning. But it's a far cry from how it used to be here. Because where I'm standing now, just move a bit further forward, are the steps which lead up towards St Mary's at the Walls, the old parish church. Now, where I'm standing, they're old photographs of these steps, and there were cottages along here, because this was all residential at one point. And just where this road sign is now, just walk under the road sign, there we go, road sign. Just here there used to be a school. I've got some details here. It's the site of St Mary's Church School, and founded in 1864. And demolished in the 1970s, which I guess the start of the destruction of Balkerne Hill. There are still old photographs of the school in circulation in the archives, which is quite nice to see. But it was this destruction of Balkerne Hill and the way of life in all the houses and the community which led to the closure of St Mary's and the Walls. I think back in, was it 1987? A little while since I wrote the history of the church. But how it's all changed, how Colchester has changed as well. Take a seat on this little bench. But also here was where, this was one of Colchester's execution sites. I covered this in a previous video. On the 2nd of August 1557. 6 people were burnt outside the walls by St Mary's, just where I'm sitting now. So this is one of Colchester's execution sites. It's also where, in 1648, on the 14th of July, the Parliamentarian forces opened up on St Mary's Church Tower with cannon fire. About 60 large cannonballs, the size of a football, were fired at the church. They hit the tower, and the tower came crashing down into the nave during the English Civil War. What a sight to see. But the whole area here really is probably one of the most historical sites in the whole of Colchester, with the steps behind me. They were put in because there was a Roman drain here or something, so it's put in the Middle Ages. You've got the community here, you've got the attacks, because Boudicca's army would have attacked through here. She would have attacked around the whole of Colchester, especially on the east side. The triumphal arch there of the Balkerne Gate, so she would have attacked through here. You've got the Civil War here. The forces of Edward the Elder would have attacked through here as well in the year 917. And so you've got the school. So probably one of the most diversely historical parts of Colchester. But I'll walk further down now to around the outside of the wall. It tapers off just here, so obviously this is where the main section was pulled down back in 1649. It leads up into the church tower, or churchyard. And there's, despite the modern buildings that have been built just inside the wall, there's still a small section here, just on my left. Now I can't follow the actual line of the wall because there are shops in the way. It actually follows round behind me through these buildings. So I'm going to walk round as close to the outside as I can, which means walking down Crouch Street. So let's have a look down Crouch Street. It's called Crouch Street after the Crouched Friars, who established a priory and a hospital in Colchester back in the 12th century. And the name has stuck ever since. There's a pub behind me called the Hospital Arms, which is named after the hospital the Crouched Friars founded. But on my right is the old Odeon Cinema. It started off life as the Regal, opened in 1931. I think it became the Odeon in, I think, 1950s. But it's burnt down by fire in 2017. It's been derelict now for empty for about 20 odd years since it closed. Ever since I've been in Colchester, it's been a bit of an eyesore. Just a shame really, because it could be put to good use and turned into a comedy venue or a trendy bar or something, like so many old theatres and cinemas have been turned into Wetherspoons pubs, which is quite nice. And on the right hand side is the Old Bull. It's the oldest pub in Colchester. Got quite a history as well. Let's just cross over the road. There we go. Yeah, it's opened in back in the 15th century. And it's reported to be haunted by two women. Don't know if that's true or not. Women were suspected of being witches and were under interrogation from Matthew Hopkins. And they were burnt under torture, I think, on the fire inside, before being sent to Chelmsford for prison and execution. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but there's a couple of stories that are linked to the pub. 1791, I should say. William Copes, the landlord's son, and he was wrongly accused of murder, and he was sentenced to transportation to Botany Bay, which is modern day Sydney, Australia. And then there was a story of William Dameron. Well, he was a coachman. He drove the London to Colchester's London stagecoach, and he was also principal coachman to the Emperor of Russia, Tsar of Russia. And that's what's written on his gravestone, which is in St Mary's churchyard. And he actually died in there. He fell off his bar stool. I guess he had stories to recant from his time driving the Russian Tsar around, and would probably tell those stories in return for a flagon of ale. So maybe he was a little tipsy and fell off his bar stool and hit his head. But yeah, this is all outside of the town's walls. This was the little community that started to grow up outside of the entrance gate. And the old building opposite, the Bull, it's got a date on the outside of 1660. We're now walking up to the crossroads here at the site of the Headgate. In fact, the actual location is on the pedestrian crossing, which I'm on right now. There's a plaque on the wall which states that it was pulled down back in 1753. Archaeologists have dug down and taken a look at the foundations, and there were two central wide arches flanked by a guardhouse on either side, and probably had an upper level as well. It might have resembled the St Albans Gate, the London Gate in St Albans. That was a similar style of construction. There's also the site of the Battle of the Headgate here as well, during the English Civil War, back on the 13th of June 1648, when the parliamentarians decided to attack the town, to drive out the royalists who had barricaded themselves in the night before. And a huge battle took place here, and out ahead of me, towards what is now the police station and the old Roman church. All this area was subject to fighting. There were cavalry charges and horsemen. It must have been quite a sight to see. But this is where it was, and this is the other end of the Cardo Maximus. So effectively, I just walked around the western side of Colchester, from the North Gate to the South Gate, or the Headgate as it was called, round the outside of the Roman wall, from one end of the Cardo Maximus to the other. But now I'm going to head down St John Street, walk around down the south side of the town, and see what we can discover down here. There's an old pub on the right-hand side called the Fox and Fiddler. It's the former Headgate Hotel. Was a license first, I think, in 1620 to a Thomas Ben. There's evidence that was an inn or a coaching house on the site since 1563. So I know one of Colchester's oldest pubs, but the actual building at the moment is here currently. It's a little bit later than that, judging by the outside facade. But the inside is, say, dates all the way back to the 16th century. But it's also supposed to be haunted as well. Matthew Hopkins used to drink in there apparently, and he found a chambermaid living up in the attic room and accused her of being a witch, dragged her downstairs to the cellar and boarded her up alive in the cellar. She was called Sarah, and she's still said to haunt the pub, but doesn't like anyone going up into the attic room apparently, because that was her room. Whether that's true or not, I'm not quite sure. It's a good story, but like most ghost stories, I'm a little sceptical as to whether the events were true or not, or borrowed from another pub in another location and just borrowed by the town of Colchester. But there's a couple of old theatres here as well. This is the old Electric Cinema, or Cameo. I think it became the Electric Cinema in 1967. But there's an interesting plaque on the outside to a young Arthur Askey, who made his professional debut here on the 31st of March 1924. And Arthur Askey eventually became an OBE, and he was one of the greats of British entertainment in the 50s and 60s and also the 70s. Just seeing his shows and watching them on television, really rather good entertainer. And across the road from there is the old ABC Cinema. It's now at Wetherspoons. It's built by John Fairweather in 1929. He was renowned for designing theatres and things. That's quite an interesting building. Became a cinema in 1930, renamed the ABC, redeveloped further into a theatre in the 1960s. And in 1994, the old Playhouse became a Wetherspoons. And they've still got the old stage in there and the balcony, and they've got cardboard cutouts in the balcony, and it's really rather pleasant in there actually. I've had a few beers in there with friends over the years, and it's quite exciting to walk into a theatre that isn't a theatre. But there we go. That's a bit of fun there. This is now the outside of the Roman walls. There's a little modern section just at the entrance to the goods yard on the left. You can see they've reproduced the polychromatic effect on the walls behind me, which is quite good. Trying to retain some of the history that and the heritage of Colchester. St John's Street probably takes its name from the Abbey of St John's, which is down at the end, the Augustinian Priory. It used to be called Gutter Street. There used to be an open sewer running down the middle, and further down there used to be a cesspit area, so waste from the town would be taken outside of the walls and dumped in one location, and in turn that would have been taken out to the fields and dumped and used as fertiliser. I came across a similar situation in Ipswich in an earlier video with Silent Street. That was where the town's cesspit was there, but today it's a thoroughly modern thoroughfare, just like St John's Street, which is really rather pleasant. It's rather nice walking around here on early hours of a Sunday morning. Not too many people around, but there's an awful lot of traffic, which is it's all very well, but trying to film with traffic really is difficult. Too much noise. Anyway, let's follow further down, and we'll take a look at the other sections of the town's old walls.